Hey y'all, this is Marley K. Hope y'all are well. Let me apologize in advance if you hear some background noise. I have my heater on in my little room because it is cold. I cannot get warm. This cold weather is doing something period. So, in any event, um, I just want to let y'all know that embassies are on fire in the Middle East. And that is another surefire sign that we are headed to World War III. We already got boots on the ground over there, and it's just heating up really quickly. So um, we need to stay on top of these stories because one, it means that our troops here will be activated, leaving us unprotected here. Two, it means that there is going to be calls for more money to go fight more wars that we already can't afford. And it just means that we are probably getting ready to be in the full throes of increased gas prices, food shortages, other supplies that we use, imports that are imported from other nations that we rely on as trade partners. So a lot of things are happening in addition to this whole global transition thing that's getting ready to happen. So it's really confusing, but they're not really talking about these embassies, which I'm pretty shocked that they're not. But a lot of these nations who've had their embassies attacked are NATO nations. So that's also something that you should be paying attention to because it likely means that they're going to be trying to do this huge nation assault on these other countries. And so, it's just terrible. All right. So it says pictured yeeted to England and France. Protesters shout as Western embassies are targeted. U.S. consulate in Lebanon is targeted with fire attacks as angry demonstrations spread to Turkey, the West Bank, and Tunisia. I will include a link to these articles in the description if you like to read them in their totality. So it says violent protests have erupted across the Arab world amid a wave of anger after bombing on a Gaza hospital that killed at least 200 Palestinians on Tuesday evening. Demonstrators have stormed the Israeli consulate in Jordan, while Western embassies have been targeted in Turkey, Tunisia, and Lebanon, with rioting also breaking out in the West Bank. And notice these are all Muslim nations. So, that's significant because this is going to escalate the calls for fighting terrorism. Anytime it's brown people, it's terror. In Iran, hundreds of protesters gathered outside of the British and French embassies in the early hours of Wednesday morning, chanting "Yeet" to France and England. Some people threw eggs at the walls of the French embassy compound. There have also been protests overnight in Libya, Morocco, Yemen, and Iraq, and beyond the Arab world in the Netherlands, Colombia, and Puerto Rico. Turkey. In Istanbul, Turkish protesters threw fireworks and flaming projectiles at the Israeli embassy on Wednesday morning. Earlier on Tuesday, Israel's National Security Council warned Israelis to leave Turkey as soon as possible, citing the risk of attacks. Protesters wearing masks were seen setting off explosives and burning Israeli and American flags. Some tore down barricades and rushed towards lines of police officers. And in the West Bank, it says groups of young people took to the streets in the West Bank shortly after the explosion at the hospital in Gaza. Israel has denied deliberately targeting the hospital, but anger towards the Israeli regime spilled over in Ramallah in the Palestinian territory. Demonstrators were seen starting fires and hurling projectiles at the police. Officers fire rear canisters to disperse rioters. In Lebanon, some of the worst clashes of the night were in Beirut, the Lebanese capital, where protesters are understood to have started a fire at the U.S. Embassy. Rioters threw what appears to be Molotov cocktails amid clashes in Al-Khar, East Beirut. This says demonstrators also clashed with police outside of the French embassy. In Tunisia, a pro-Palestine protest formed in Tunis, the Tunisian capital, where people took to the streets to demand justice for Gazans after the hospital explosion. So I just wanted to share those stories because I'm not seeing that covered in the media. And so it's significant because that's going to be an excuse for everybody to be like, oh, we got to go get our people out. We got to get troops on the ground, like they did with Benghazi. Um, once the embassies are compromised and the consulate buildings are compromised, then all bets are off. So this says, this is from the Independent. It says Americans warned do not travel to Lebanon as Beirut embassy is set on fire. This was an hour ago. The U.S. has warned Americans not to travel to Lebanon after the Beirut embassy was set on fire. Family members of government personnel and non-essential embassy staff were allowed to leave Lebanon after the embassy in Beirut was targeted by protesters who started a fire at the complex. Hours after the protest began, the State Department issued a do not travel advisory due to the unpredictable security situation related to rocket, missile, and artillery exchanges between Israel and Hezbollah or other armed militant factions, according to the advisory. On October 17th, 2023, the department authorized the voluntary temporary departure of family members of U.S. government personnel and some non-emergency personnel from U.S. Embassy Beirut due to the unpredictable security situation in Lebanon, the announcement stated. The advisory noted that large demonstrations have erupted in the wake of recent violence in Israel and Gaza. It continued, U.S. citizens should avoid demonstrations and exercise caution if in the vicinity of any large gatherings or protests, as some of these have turned violent. Protesters have blocked major roads, including thoroughfares between downtown Beirut and the area where the U.S. Embassy is located, and between Beirut and Beirut Rafik Hariri International Airport. It warned that U.S. citizens who choose to travel to Lebanon should be aware that consular offices from the U.S. Embassy are not always able to travel to assist them. The Department of State considers the threat of U.S. government personnel in Beirut sufficiently serious to require them to live and work under strict security. The internal security policies of the U.S. Embassy may be adjusted at any time without advance notice. The protest came after a blast at a hospital in Gaza on Tuesday was believed to have killed hundreds of people. So the war has amped up. The anger has been stirred. That's the whole objective, to have everybody against one another. If you are Yasharel, true Israel, African American here in America, we need to pay attention because this is going to happen here. It is going to happen to us, and we already know nobody likes us. So we're going to have a bunch of people at us at different times. So, I see this as a opportunity to learn their plays. Now, what we can't control is how other people will react. We know that they are going to target us. Because we know at the end of the day, all this stuff that's happening in the world is about us. They got to perpetuate the lie. They got to keep this mess going. They got to keep stuff stirred up. They got to keep people confused and looking everywhere except for where they should be looking, and focusing on everything except for the thing that is the most important, and that is who we are, us crying out, us leaving here, and Esau's rule being over. So, white people are really not understanding this moment. And if they are, they're looking at it from a very Eurocentric Christianity point of view, which is like crazy. Even though they know the truth, they cannot reconcile, they cannot leave Christianity because, having to acknowledge that what you've done is wrong, what you learned was wrong, what you did was wrong, and not only that, but you will have to pay for the sins of your ancestors is killing them. They want to erase everything. They want to say color doesn't matter, who the people are don't matter. It all matters. And the people who are orchestrating all this stuff, they know it matters, which is why they keep pitting certain groups against each other. So understand, we're here at the war's doorstep. Now, what I've also noticed is that the Pope had something to say about the war efforts. Um, I'm going to see if I can find the latest thing that he said. Let me see. He talked to somebody, some Arab king, somebody. Let me see if I can find that article. I have the news. Let's see. Okay. And I'm going to bring you some videos about what's going on with the Pope and the Catholic Church and him moving around and folks getting behind his climate change message. Because the other thing that you need to understand is that all this stuff is leading up to November, where they're going to introduce probably their calls for peace. And, I don't know who's going to come and rule, or, if this is going to be the time where you're going to see who this person is who's going to save the world and bring peace and make us safe, peace and safety. So it's just going to be a really interesting time to watch. You're going to have to pay attention really closely, but don't get it twisted. All these things are connected that are happening. They just look like they're isolated incidents and separate, but all these things must happen. These wars and distractions and the people fighting, the civil unrest everywhere, fires, stuff being blown up, people being killed, because that's the chaos. Somebody got to bring order in this new body, this new governance structure that they're forming while we're distracted looking at everything else is going to be the thing that brings us the order. So don't look away. Don't not pay attention. Okay, so here in the American magazine, it says Pope Francis appeals to all believers on the Israel and Hamas war. Take only one side, that of peace. So Pope Francis today called for the silencing of guns and the avoidance of a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. He also declared October 27th as a World Day of Prayer for peace, which he invited all Christians and all people of faith to join. Notice he keeps talking about Christians. This is how you know Christians are going to play a huge role in the apostasy in the end times, because they're being pulled into all sorts of things and they're really not even paying attention to what's happening. And then you have church leaders reiterating what the Pope is saying, and they're following what their church leaders are saying, not really understanding that they're getting their lead from the man of sin. So he said he made an appeal for a stop to the war when he greeted thousands of pilgrims in St. Peter's Square at the general audience on October the 18th. His call came in wake of the explosion at the Ali Arab Hospital in Gaza City the previous evening. The Hamas militant group blamed the blast on an Israeli strike, while the Israeli military blamed a rocket misfired by other Palestinian militants. Upon arriving in Israel on a mission to keep the Israel-Hamas war from spiraling into a broader regional conflict, Papa told Israeli leaders, based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you. But that there were a lot of people out there who were not sure. So, during the general audience, Pope Francis said, "Dear brothers and sisters, my thoughts go to Palestine and Israel." A remark that drew long applause from the crowd. "The victims increase and the situation in Gaza is desperate," he said. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, some 3,200 Palestinians, including around 1,030 children, have been killed and 12,500 injured in Gaza by the constant Israeli bombing over the past 12 days. The strikes come in retaliation for more than 1,400 Israelis, mostly civilians, killed in the attack by Hamas in southern Israel on October the 7th, and many more were injured. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that the Pope is talking. He's ushering in peace. He's going to be a broker for peace. He's going to be a broker for climate change. He's going to be a broker for a lot of stuff. Women and the alphabet transformers and food scarcity and health. So get ready, y'all. It's a lot going on. And again, it is so much that I sometimes don't even know what to tell you. It's a lot. But what I want to share with you is you need to be prepared. So keep prepping, keep praying, keep seeking the Most High, keep obeying those laws, statutes, and commandments, keep repenting daily for sins of commission and sins of omission. Make sure you keep the Sabbath and try to awaken people. I have a friend that I talk to. His son is in the military and he's fairly young. And dad works. Dad doesn't really keep up with world events. And I was just explaining to him how things are going on. And he was like, "Well, don't scare me." And I was like, "What? Don't scare you. You got a whole son in the military and as a matter of fact, in one of these sacrificial states who could be going to war." And so I had to like literally explain to him why I was telling him, if you have loved ones in the military, which I do, and if you have had people that have served in the military, which I've had in war, I've had that too, um, is not a good feeling when you start seeing all this stuff happening, because you know your loved ones are going to be called up to go someplace or do something. And a lot of these young people are not built the way that we were built. And so, your heart goes out to them, but your heart also goes out to them because a lot of these people go to get away from these small towns to have money for school, to have a steady paycheck, not really thinking about, I'm preparing all at all times to war for people who don't give a crap about me. And so, um, you know, for a young black man to be enlisted now is really painful, especially when I know they're going to try to send as many of our people as they can to the front lines so that, one, they won't be here to help us. Two, so, they can exterminate them. Just gonna keep it real. It's part of King Alfred plan. So, you know, we have to keep our our loved ones and our brothers and sisters lifted up during this time because there are lots of things going on and there are so many people naive to how these things impact every single one of us. So, just make sure you are really being thoughtful during this time, paying attention so that you can help others understand what's coming, because a lot of people don't really understand what's coming. We have been sold out. The whole world has been sold out, but America is going to have to make a spectacular fall. A lot of people are going to perish. A lot of people are not ready. A lot of people don't even know what's going on. They don't even believe the truth. The people are telling them the truth. The powers are literally telling us what they're doing, and you still can't get people to pay attention. So pray that people wake up, because the more of us that wake up and do the opposite of what it is they expect us to do, their plans don't work. And so, especially with this civil unrest that's going on, for black people, we ought to be used to this. This is the oldest trick in the book, but I know a lot of our people are not accustomed to this game and they will fall prey to it. Now, I'm not telling anybody to not defend themselves, by no means, but I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff in the media, there's a lot of stuff on social media. There are a lot of things going on that we don't need to be involved in. And then there are a lot of things where the dominant society is picking on us, as they always have, trying to get a reaction. Let us be mindful and not react. Even when you see stuff on social media, commenting, don't comment, because you don't know whether it's a bot. You don't know if it was put there for us to react to. You don't know why certain stories are pushed and certain narratives are pushed. So we really got to be mindful of our emotions. And when we speak from a grassroots, be one, um, you know, being our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper, vantage point. Anything else is, at this point, is counterproductive. All this other nonsense about rappers who getting divorced, who talking about who, all that stuff is a distraction to black people. Talking about black voter turnout, and it's just a distraction. It's not gonna help you. Jada Pinkett Smith is talking about Tupac crying on TV. That ain't gonna help you when the grocery stores don't sell no groceries. It's not gonna help you when you don't have no heat, because you don't have power. It's not gonna help you during martial law. Um, Sexy Red talking about her booty hole brown. Excuse my expression, but that's just like a disgusting song that I heard somebody talking about, and I was like, what? This hip hop music just constantly degrading us. It's not going to help us when things get bad. It's not. None of those things are going to mean anything to us. Even sports, even your escapism, you won't have that. All that stuff is going to be canceled when the poop hits the fan. So the way I see things happening, shoot, by Christmas time, it's going to be all hell breaking loose everywhere. And so, I don't know what if you still celebrate holidays, I don't know what the holidays will mean for you or what they will look like or if we will even have any. You don't know if you're going to be working. So you don't know if you'll have money. Uh, it's just so many variables here. Even with travel, you don't know if you're going to be able to travel. You don't know if you're going to be able to move freely. Our gas reserves are tapped out. Our The Pentagon says they're running out of weapons. They don't have money to replenish the weapons that they sent to Ukraine. We've been sold out, people. We've been sold out. And you're going to fight for everything that you need for survival. You're going to fight for gas for your car. So you better be buying gas cans and stocking up now because gas is going to be expensive. You'll be fighting for food because food is going to be scarce because they created scarcity. You're going to be fighting over clothing. You're going to be fighting over basic essentials. You're going to need things to protect yourself. If you haven't done that stuff to prepare, it's almost too late. If you haven't put back enough food so you can feed your family and figure out how you're going to do stuff in the winter and in the summer, if you're going to be cooking outside, are you going to be telling people what you got? If you're going to be cooking inside, do you have what you need to cook inside without power? Do you have water, clean water? You have things, filters and ways to purify stuff. Lots of things need to be addressed right about now. And most people are not even taking advantage of this time to do so. So wrap up your preps. Don't ever stop. Don't get tired. Plant those gardens. Start those seeds in the house. Do whatever you got to do to navigate what is coming because it's getting ready to be real in the field. And those who've been prepping, even if you've done a little something for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, it's better than nothing at all. There are going to be some people who don't have nothing, and nobody going to give a crap. When you go for help, you're going to find that you shouldn't have done that. So what you want to do is position yourself so you never have to go to those people for help, and you know who those people are, and you want to make sure that you are able to care for yourself and your family regardless of what happens, whether it's bad weather, power outage, an EMP strike, whether it's an invasion, um, whether the government just falls and fails, whatever happens, a nuclear attack, even, I hate to say it, but even if our own soldiers and law enforcement turn on us, you got to be ready for everything. You got to be ready for lawlessness because that time is coming. Praying for the Exodus, praying that we escape, but don't be sitting here thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna escape. I ain't gonna have to go through nothing." If you thinking you're gonna be raptured, and you thinking you're not gonna go through nothing, baby, you in trouble. All I know is that things are getting ready to get bad, and I told you things were devolving real fast, and you can see it happening every day. And you go to bed, you wake up, something else bad happen. It's like, oh my God, you can't even keep up with it. So just make sure you keep prepping, keep praying, keep each other lifted up. I'm going to pray for you. Y'all pray for me. Keep working diligently to make sure that you have done all that you can do to try to navigate what's happening so we can endure to the end, because I want to see y'all at the end. That's what I want. I want to see my brothers and sisters getting up out of here. We're tired of this captivity. We're tired of this torture and abuse. But until we are delivered from it, we got to maintain. So let us do what we must, be our brother's keeper, learn how to work together, love each other, even though I know it's so difficult, but let us do what we must in order to navigate these difficult times. All right, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification to make sure you are notified each and every time I upload new content. Check to make sure you are still subscribed. You may want to unsubscribe and resubscribe because a lot of people have not been receiving their notifications. Follow me on Rumble and Odyssey. Links are in the description. Also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Those links are also in the description. In the event that this channel goes down, you will have alternative platforms to get content from. Lastly, if you like to support the channel financially, links are in the description where you can buy coffee or whatever. If you should you do so, I greatly appreciate it. We don't have any affiliates. I don't sell anything. This is a labor of love. I take my time and go through articles all day and sometimes at night when I can't sleep. So I'll be able to share things with you. So, time is something we can't get back. And, if you find it in your spirit to support me and others who are doing this type of work in this last hour, we all appreciate it. We don't get enough. It just seems like, if you're doing something bad and crazy, those people are rewarded. And so we understand that our reward comes on the other side, but we still appreciate the encouragement and support. So when you do support the channels, just know I appreciate it greatly. So keep praying, keep prepping, keep watch, because it's gonna be live. And America is sold out. We are compromised, y'all. So the one thing that you got to do is keep a sound mind so that you can receive truth. Don't ever feel like you know everything. Don't ever feel like you've learned everything. Don't ever feel like you're better than someone because you know things that they don't. Pray that people find knowledge and seek wisdom, because that is the only thing that's going to save us. That leads us to truth, and we need truth now more than ever. So understand the truth is getting harder and harder to come by. Do the best you can. All right, this is Marley K, and I am out.